Hello there. Westminster is about to cave in on your behalf to 18 Islamist demands, just as students occupy their Oxford and Cambridge University grounds in support of the Islamists. So monkey see, monkey do. Students at Oxford and Cambridge unis have decided to ape their US counterparts and occupy the lawns of their venerated universities. And if you thought that sectarian politics had been consigned to the dustbin of history, then you were sadly mistaken. In some areas of the UK it has continued to simmer away in the background, as it still does in Northern Ireland, for example. But we are now witnessing a new force that feels strong enough to form a religion-based political bloc to impose its Islamic will on the rest of us. And one organisation called the Muslim Vote has put out a list of 19 demands for Keir Starmer to obey. Yes, 19. They later added a 19th demand about eating 30 plants a week to their initial 18 demands. So 19 demands to be met before Muslims will put a cross on the ballot paper next to the name of a Labour candidate. I wonder who will be ordering these Muslims which party or person to vote for, though. Watch on and find out. And Keir the Neela Starmer will be listening hard, and probably have already folded halfway towards signing up to these demands, because he's hemorrhaged Muslim voters in the last week's council elections, due to his stance of rightly supporting Israel's right to defend itself. And although largely victorious, Labour's local election results were affected quite badly by the loss of that Muslim vote. The Greens will also be listening and probably wanting to take all these suggestions up. After all, they've got a new pro-Gaza councillor, haven't they? I wonder how quickly the Lib Dems will fold to all of this. Now, the Muslim Vote UK says it is a network of Muslim individuals and organisations uniting so that our votes are never taken for granted again. Sounds a bit like a trades union, doesn't it? Anyway, they also said on X that, contrary to popular discourse, most Muslims see Britain as our home and we want to make Britain great again. We care about this country just as much as any other Britisher. We help disproportionately power the NHS. We don't want Sharia law for all, but we do want justice. We don't want Sharia law for all. And I take that as therefore meaning they do want Sharia law for some in the UK. Now, this is the UK where we have, or more accurately we should have, one legal system and set of laws for the whole country and everyone in it. But with increasing devolution, the whole legal framework in the UK is now a complete mess. Different laws in different regions for different people. And what we're now seeing is basically yet another call for devolution. But this one will be devolving powers to the Islamic community on a religious basis, so that they can practice their laws separately from the rest of us in their own communities or caliphates maybe, for now. Now here are some of the 19 things they want Keir Starmer to do. 1. Apologise for your comments greenlighting a genocide and for not backing the ceasefire in October-November 2023. Now this will of course go for any leader of any party that has supported Israel in any way. No apology, no vote. And getting the apology is the first move to getting compliance on the rest of the demands. 2. Sanctions on companies operating in occupied territories, sanctions on settlers. Basically a move to weaken the Israeli economy to make it easier for Hamas to attack it and kill Israelis. 3. Recognise Palestine state. How exactly can this be part of their claim about wanting to make Britain great again is well beyond me. And for me, this is just shorthand for the UK backing the destruction of Israel. 4. Travel ban on all Israeli politicians that prosecuted this war and support illegal occupation. It was Hamas that started by prosecuting this war. But I see no mention of that in this list of demands. Not only that, they refer to the illegal occupation. In pro-Palestine speak, that means all Israelis in Israel. 5. End military ties with Israel. Helping to leave Israel defenceless against the Iranian-backed Hamas, Hezbollah and the Houthis, amongst many others. Just another one-sided demand that would lead to the destruction of Israel and the Israelis. 6. Issue guidance that Muslims are allowed to pray at school. Only Muslims note, no other religion. All about empowering Islam. 8. Remove extremism definition Gove introduced. Now this is Michael Gove's redefinition of extremism, which states, extremism is the promotion or advancement of an ideology based on violence, hatred or intolerance that aims to 1. Negate or destroy the fundamental rights and freedoms of others, or 2. Undermine, overturn or replace the UK system of liberal parliamentary democracy and democratic rights, or intentionally create a permissive environment for others to achieve the results in 1 or 2. Now, why would the Muslim voters want to eradicate that particular definition? Surely those newcomers who want to make their home here would love to keep the fundamental rights and democracy in place, wouldn't they? 10. Adopt the all-party parliamentary group definition of Islamophobia. Now, the definition itself is as follows. Islamophobia is rooted in racism and is a type of racism that targets expressions of Muslimness or perceived Muslimness. Now, the Labour Party has adopted this already in March 2019, so it is a dead cert that this will become part of UK law in due course. But why only Muslims should be allowed their own blasphemy law is beyond me. If we must have such a dangerous law, then all religions and none must be protected in exactly the same way. 15. Ensure insurance quotes don't cost more for someone called Muhammad. Insurers price premiums based on risk, not on the names of the insured, otherwise they'd go out of business. 17. Oppose BDS bill, kick it out of law. Now this is a boycott, divestment and sanctions bill to make it illegal for councils to campaign against, boycott, seek divestment from or sanction a particular territory internationally unless endorsed by the government's own foreign policy. So you can see why the Muslim vote wants that scrapped. They want to use any powers they can get their hands on to hit the Israeli economy and those that support it by boycott, sanction and divestment. And finally, 18. Remove the archaic spiritual influence offence from statute. Now this is quite an old law that makes it an offence for religious leaders to use their religious position to instruct their followers how to vote. Now, why would they want that law scrapped as well? Unless they want religious leaders to be lawfully able to order their worshippers about how to vote. How very un-British. In my view, this remains a sensible law, especially given the tendency for many more people to become more sectarian as our demographics change at bewildering speed. And there are other demands about Sharia-compliant finance, for example. Any politicians caving into this set of demands need their heads examining. But politicians will do anything to get their hands on votes, won't they?